From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to WHTC's Morning News for this Monday, April the 12th. A very popular place in Holland these days is the Holland Civic Center place, the Heeringa Holland Civic Center place, and not necessarily because of the events that is going on there in terms of any meetings and gatherings, but it's been very popular because it has been one of the key points for the Ottawa County Department of Public Health to administer COVID-19 vaccinations. And to tell us more about how the vaccinations are going at his venue, Chris Hart from the Heeringa Holland Civic Center place joins us via the Zoom connection. Chris, good morning and welcome back to WHTC.
Good morning, Gary. How are you today?
We are well. Hopefully you are well as well. And people are getting well thanks to the vaccinations over at the Civic Center place. Looking at it as an observer, because you see a lot of people coming into your building and then coming out, I would say for the most part, pretty happy that they got the vaccines. Certainly, it's got to be heartwarming sometimes to see some of the stories of the people that have been getting those shots over at the Civic Center place.
Yeah, so Gary, back in late February 25th, we did our first vaccination for the Ottawa County. It was an idea that we had, being in the heart of the community, to allow as many of our residents to be able to get immunized that could at that time. So we started off our first one, we did about 600 vaccinations, and then proceeded by doing another 200 the following week. And we're now up to over 2,000 people per event there. So it's a huge undertaking by the Ottawa County Health Department. Obviously, all of our military are there as well as a lot of volunteers to make it all pull off. But yeah, it's a great event and some great stories to go along with it.
Tell us a little bit about some of the stories you can relate that you've been able to either see yourself or have been relayed to you.
Yeah, so early on, obviously, we had older people that were coming in that were trying to get vaccinated. And I can't tell you the joy in people's eyes knowing that they were going to get some relief of COVID. And there were some great stories of people that had been there prior, even that hadn't been there since it's been remodeled, first of all. So it was a great opportunity for them to see their new beauty there. But talking to people that originally had their polio shots there in years past and other vaccinations and events that they had been at, including the Globetrotters way back when, it's just really neat to hear some of the history that followed the individuals that came there and what their memories were of it.
How have the people been reacting in terms of, following the law rules and stuff like that? Maybe early on, there might have been some pushing and shoving, get out of my way. I need to get that vaccine now. But for the most part, we've been hearing stories at other places of people being, shall we say, pretty civil and, following along with instructions. Has that been the case at the Civic Center?
Absolutely. Overall, it's been an A grade for everybody that comes in. I think that what's really interesting is the amount of crowd of people. If you have an appointment there, they allow you in 10 minutes prior. And there are people literally sitting in the parking lot an hour ahead of time just because they're so excited to get their shots. But overall, not a problem at all as far as people wearing face masks. You ask them once, they either have forgotten or, they're just so excited with the moment that they're not conscious of it. So it's nothing intentional.
Talk a little bit about how the Civic Center place has gotten through the last 13 months or so with the reduction in events that were scheduled that had to be canceled. Some other events could be held, but with the social distancing. How has the Civic Center been able to get through the last 13 months or so?
Yes, it's been a difficult go for sure. So in 2019 was our first full year of really doing operations, and we were able at that point in time to do 225 events. In 2020, our goal was to get 100 more than that, 320 events. And by March of that year, we changed our goal to 365. We had 320 on the books already just prior to COVID. We had all kinds of different set of activities, as you talked about. So an event center, so in case you don't know, can only have 25 people in an event. Irony is, well, obviously, we're doing 2,000 people in an event when we're doing immunizations, but sporting events are different. So it depends what hat that you're wearing, Gary, of what we're doing for events in there. So we can do sporting events now for up to 325 people. So we've done some dance competitions. We've done, we had to reinvent ourselves in the fall or late summer of last year with the Smoking Tulip restaurant, since there were more leniency on doing restaurants there than there was for events. So we're surviving one day at a time, recreating ourselves probably 20 or 30 times. Ray's Tamale, I think, was a long-time advocate at the farmer's market. We did his funeral service for him there. So some very unlikely events you wouldn't think that we would do there.
Yeah, and there's some other ones that have happened at the Civic Center place. One of the more high-profile ones was Holland High's graduation last summer, and it looks like the Dutch will once again have its ceremony at the Civic Center place if all goes well. That's what I'm hearing right now. Whether or not that's true, we'll see. But still, plenty of activities. Tulip Time's going to be still going on, although no parades through the Civic Center lots, but still Civic Center will be definitely a part of Holland's annual signature event coming up in less than 3 weeks.
Very true. So completely different. Yeah, no parades as you mentioned, but they're still going to have the food wagons out there to feed the people. We're going to, Skirbex is handling that, and they're going to be having picnic tables, but for people to be able to sit down and eat. 6 foot distancing, no more than 6 people at a table, accommodate up to 300. The carnival's going on by them as well. They have occupancy limits of 500 that, well, actually they can go up to 1,000, but to try to pacify and keep everybody safe, they're going to have their limits at 500, primarily with pre-bought tickets, social distancing as well. And then Tulip Time is also using the Civic Center for their market plots, their annual sale of goods, Dutch goods, as well as costumes. They're going to be displayed in some dancing by Tulip Time dancers as well. So try to accommodate them as best as we can as well.
One final thing, Chris Hart, you mentioned about going one day at a time, but obviously as a person who does take care of things in terms of handling the management aspects of the Civic Center place, you need to look forward, you need to look ahead. Has the Civic Center place maybe started booking events for 2023 or 2022 yet? Or are you sort of like saying, hey, let's get through this and then we'll start booking events? You really can't afford to do that, even though right now things are still up in the air.
Yes, so people are just dying to get back together. Obviously, safety is our number one concern for individuals, but to answer your question, we are booking events 1 year, 2 years, 6 months. A lot of the folks that have booked events with us are just kicking the can down the road to when they can meet. So we've done a lot of huge events there as well. We're looking forward to getting back to the Wake Up West Coast events and the Rotary and some of these other events that were done consistently with us in the future. So we're just waiting and biding our time till things loosen up a little bit. And hopefully the vaccinations helps a whole lot to loosen that up.
We'll see how well that continues to go on as we move forward from mid-April and moving ahead. Chris Hart from the Holland Civic Center place, the Heeringa Holland Civic Center place. I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning on WHTC's Morning News. Wish you and everyone at the Civic Center well and hope to chat with you again soon.
I appreciate that, Gary. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Chris Hart, on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.